Hello everyone, this is Professor Robert Solis. Welcome to our next video lesson. We're going to continue talking about the switch statement, and I'd like to create a very simple program that lets the user know if they've passed or failed a particular quiz, say for example. So let's go ahead and create a CSharp program, a Windows Forms application. Over here I'm going to type in CSharp, and we'll say switch. This is going to be part 2. And pass or fail is the name of our project. We'll click OK. And let me go ahead and open up the toolbox and also the properties panel. Open up the form just a little bit. We're going to add a button, a label, and also a text box to the form. Let me take that label and change that to 12 points. And I'm going to move that to the upper left-hand corner, like that. And I'm going to change the the text property. So we'll say quiz score, parens 0 through 10. In other words, indicating to the user that they need to enter a quiz score anywhere from 0 to 10. Those are the valid responses that they can enter. So let's go ahead and take this text box. I'm going to change the font property, specifically the size, to 12 points, and then I'll place that next to the label with the magenta underline. That's indicating it's at the same level as the label. And then I'll take this button, open it up, something like this. Again, I'm going to change that font size property to 12 points. That will be my submit button. So I'll go over here to the text property, type in submit. I'll take this label, copy and paste it. Of course, I could have dragged and dropped another label. I'll just take this label, copy and paste it. Let me change the auto size to false, the border style to fixed single. I'll move this into position. Right there is okay. Open it up. Something like that looks good. I want to make sure that that text is aligned properly. So I'll go to the text align property and select middle center. Finally, let me get rid of the text. So I'll press delete and get rid of the text. Let me go ahead and resize the form. That looks pretty good. I'm going to get rid of the minimize and the maximize box. Double click. And instead of form 1, let's change that text property to quiz score. All right, everything is looking good. Let me save my work. Now it's time for me to add the various names. So I'm going to go over here for this text box. Instead of this, we're going to type in txt quiz score. For the button, obviously that'll be btn submit. And then of course for the label, that'll be lbl result. So over here, lbl result. Let me double check my work. txt quiz score, btn submit, lbl result. It looks good. Let me go ahead and click Save All. Let me minimize the toolbox, minimize the Properties panel, and then I'll double click on the Submit button so I'm ready to type in my code. And of course I want to type in my comments first, so declarations, get user input, calculations, and then output. In the declaration section, let me see here. What is it that the user is giving to me? They're giving me a quiz score. I'm giving to them some sort of an output. So over here, they're going to give me a score. I'm going to return to them some sort of an output string, such as you failed or you passed. So I'll set this output string to nothing. I'll initialize it to nothing. In the get user score, I'm going to assign to the variable score convert dot to int32, a 32-bit number, a 32-bit whole number, specifically that which was entered in the text box, quiz score. So txt, there it is. I hit tab dot te text, close parens, semicolon. I'm getting the text from this text box, converting it into a 32-bit whole number, placing it into the variable score, which as you can see here is an integer. All right, in the calculations section, I am going to start off with a switch statement. and type in the word score. Now, let me open and close the curly braces and consider the following cases. If the case is that the user entered 0, or if, sorry, I keep on doing semicolon, it's colon rather. Let me take this, Control C, copy, enter Control V, paste, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to change these numbers to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the user enters any of those particular cases, then the output statement is going to be you failed, followed with a break statement. So all cases must have a break statement. Hey, Professor Solis, you didn't put a break statement in any of these. Well, that's because these are all empty. Notice that case 5 is the one that I actually type in the code. So what happens is if the user enters 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, this is what it will default to. So we're not following through. We're basically just listing all of the separate cases that will eventually execute this. So cases 0 through 1. If I did something like this, okay, output is, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I can't do that without putting a break statement in here. I'd have to put a break. Then you can see that the red underline goes away. But over here, if I want to say case 0, you failed. Okay, I'll just copy and paste this. If I want to say this, I'd have to do the same thing for case 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If there's any code under any one of these cases, I have to establish a break. But if I do this, and let me get rid of that. If I do this, then there's no code underneath 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But there is code under 5. So if the user types in any one of these numbers, it will then automatically go to this section over here. You failed for 0 through 5. All right, let me press enter over here, and I'll say case 6, colon. And let me go ahead and take this guy, copy, and paste for case 7, case 8, case 9, case 10. And then I'll change these numbers appropriately. So that'll be 7, that'll be 8, that'll be 9, and this guy over here is going to be 10. So if the user enters 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, then we want the output statement to be you passed. And I have to put a break statement over here. Get rid of that red squiggly underline. I must always have a break. So again, if the user enters 0 through 5, this is what's going to be displayed, and then it'll jump out. But if the user enters 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, this is what will be placed into the, I said displayed, this is what will be placed into the output variable, and then we'll break out of that. And then, of course, we're going to consider our default case, and the default case is simply going to be an output being assigned invalid input, followed by a break. If the user enters any other number besides 0 through 10, then we'll just simply say invalid input. Once we've done that, let's go ahead and display the results to the label, LBL result tab, .te text, and we're going to assign to this output. All right, so the primary point that I want to get across in this particular video lesson is that if you have several cases to consider, such as this one, 0 through 5, and 0 through 5, any one of those scores that were entered results in you failed, this is how you would handle it. You would stack them one on top of the other. What you cannot do is what I presented to you earlier. Well, I guess you could do this, but boy, that sure would be redundant, right? And I could do this. Whoops, sorry. Let me undo and paste. Okay, I could do this. For case 0, you failed. For case 1, you failed. Yeah, I could do that over and over and over again. That's fine. It's kind of a waste of time to do that, but I could do that. Another thing to consider is as soon as I enter code over here, I have to place that break there. I can't get away with something like this. You can see that that's going to result in some sort of an error. So the way to handle that is don't have any code here. Consider all the individual cases with no code underneath any of them until you get to that final case where everything above results in this right here. So 0 through 5 results in this. 6 through 10 results in this. Finally, we have a default case where if the number is other than 0 through 10, we're going to display invalid input. We're going to place invalid input into the output variable and then display it to this label. So let me save my work, run the program, and let's see what happens. So first I'll start off with the number 0. Okay, you failed. And then I'll type in 1. And then I'll type in 2. And then 3, 4, 5. Everything's you failed. Good. Let's see what happens at 6. You passed. 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoops, sorry. 10. You passed. What happens if I hit 11? Invalid input. How about -5 or -6? Invalid. So forth and so on, right? So the idea is if you have multiple options, multiple cases, this is how you would stack them together, and then you would output something like this. All right, so that's it. This is Professor Robert Solis. Hope this video lesson was helpful. Have a good day. See you next time.